Good afternoon, evening. My name's Glen Hoddle. For those that don't know me, I used to play for Tottenham Hotspur for many years, many moons ago now, and I played for AS Monaco under Arsene Wenger. So I had a big career in football, played for England internationally, 53 caps, and football's been my life. Played in many stadiums around the world. But I was on a project of off-site building, completely different to C360. And for some reason, I had a vision of an afternoon when we had a day off, excuse me, from, I was in Canada. We were playing just before the World Cup in '86 in Mexico. And we had a day off, and me and my teammate went to a restaurant in Toronto. And it was revolving. It slowly moved. For some reason, I had this vision of me and my friend sitting in the restaurant, seeing the city from different angles. Suddenly, I asked the architect that I was with on this other project, I had a vision. And I asked whether the seats of two rows of a stadium outside the corporate boxes could actually very slowly move round the stadium so that you would see the event, the sport, from every angle. So in many ways, your eyes would become cameras. Sometimes on a live game, there's 26 cameras in different angles. So this was my vision. This is what come to me, and they went away and said, yeah, this could be done. So and that was the vision, that was the start of C360, hence the name of the company. And I had this vision, and I think to a certain degree, since the Colosseum, the seats have changed. They've got a little bit more luxurious, a bit softer. But the platform for viewing for fans has been the same. It's not changed. So I had this vision, and I had to find somebody that could make that a reality. And that is, I found Terry Monkton, CEO of SimWorks, and he made my vision a reality. So I would like to hand you over to, well, we're just going to show you a video first before I hand over to Terry. It's not too long, don't worry. It's very good though.
There should be audio with the video, so I don't know what's happened there. I have heard the soundtrack so many times, so I don't mind not hearing it again, actually. But I think the video will tell the message.
Where's the seems like. It seems a lot longer without without the music, I've got to say.
We should have done a bit of a song and a dance, so you've got history for that one.
But I'll hand you over to Terry from SimWorks.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terry Monks. I'm the CEO of SimWorks. And we were super excited when we were approached by Glen about this project. You'll understand why in a minute as to why, but what we loved about it was the fact that it was a true innovation in this new sports stadia sector that would totally revolutionise the way that fans can view all sorts of events within stadiums. Also, huge brand activation opportunities, which my colleague Carl will talk about shortly, about the incremental revenue that stadiums can generate by incorporating a C360 solution into their stadium. So, why SimWorks? We don't have a history in sports stadiums. What we do have is a huge 27-year history in designing and developing what we call media-based attractions for theme parks, museums and visitor experiences around the world. Such products can include passenger carrying robotics, automated guidance vehicles, flying theatres, motion simulators and special effects cinemas. So when Glen was making a few inquiries about a company that could design and manufacture this for him, then those inquiries led their way to us, and we've been delighted to partner with Glen now on this project. We have over, I think you say 125 there, but we now, since that was done, there are over 130 installations worldwide. We estimate that our attractions carry over 60 million guests per year. And we have a 100% safety record, which is absolutely paramount for us within our industry. So the challenge that we were set, given the sort of things that we designed and manufactured, really wasn't an issue for us. So we're delighted to partner with, be the supply partner for C360. We have installations across every continent worldwide. We have 18 installations across the Middle East and 4 in Saudi Arabia, with lots more planned in future years, of course, as well as hoping that a few of those are going to be C360 into the wonderful stadium development plans that you have here. We've worked with some really big park operators, and we've worked with some really huge brands who've trusted SimWorks with their IP and brand to promote it in various visitor attractions worldwide. IPs such as Marvel, DreamWorks, National Geographic, Sony Pictures, just to name just but a few. And actually this picture just a couple of weeks ago at a huge conference in Orlando, where we were awarded a very prestigious Brass Ring Award, which was awarded to C360 for being the best new innovation in 2024. So it's a really tough category to win. So we were quite delighted that such a huge association called IARPA, which is the International Association of Parks and Attractions, was bestowed this award upon us. So we think it's an amazing offering. The fact that you can view events, not just football, but lots of other events, from all angles around the stadium. I think it's an absolutely amazing new innovation that we believe should find a place in lots of stadiums worldwide. So, but not only do you have the enhancements through the viewing experience, and it's a real premium VIP viewing experience, we also have the ability not only to put this into new stadiums, but also we have a design for retrofitting into quite a lot of existing stadiums. I think if we can describe it, we can find a way of developing an engineering solution to deliver it. And what C360 has, beyond that elevation of fans' viewing experience, is its ability to generate incremental revenues. The pod itself has lots of advertising placements, an interactive touchscreen that can do things such as you can order food and drinks, you can watch replays. We've all been there talking to friends when a goal's gone in and missed it, but you can watch it instantly. You can order merchandising, but again, my colleague Carl is going to elaborate a lot more on what C360 can do in terms of brand activation and revenue generation. So on that, I'll pass you over to Carl England. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Terry. Thanks, Glen. I'm delighted to be part of this project, to be quite honest with you. A little bit of background on myself is I've come from all the big brands, failed football player, unlike Glenn, that I had to find my passion through working for a proper sports company called Umbro back in the day, when we were very big on brand building and working with some of the world's biggest clubs, and what Glenn was the national manager of England. So working with Man United, working with Chelsea, working with England. That took me down a path of understanding what football was all about and what branding was all about. And I introduced the notion of licensing to a brand that went on a huge trajectory of growth, Timberland, back in the early 2000s. And that took me to Disney, which took me all about entertainment and what building franchises and what building content and meaningful content and relevant content to an audience really meant. And when I came back into football, luckily, my passion, I realised that what I thought I learned at football in the sort of late 90s and early 2000s, in actual fact, football was changing. It was evolving. And it was becoming more about being part of the entertainment world. Football and sport in itself was more than just the game. It was about being relevant to that consumer. And the consumer, this new generation of consumer coming through, and I'm sure you've heard it a lot in the first day of this summit, it's changing. The world of entertainment is a rich melting pot of fashion, of trend, of lifestyle, of music and sport and content, all driven by data, all driven by relevance, all driven by access through one of these, the access to digitization and the desire to have a gamified experience. And that's what excites me most about what we're going to take you through today here in this presentation, which is how C360 is, yes, a viewing platform in a stadium and an enhanced viewing platform in that regard, but it's actually what these pods can do, what you can actually see here. What really interests me is, in actual fact, what the access to these smart screens can do. And in actual fact, the pod now, you've heard Terry and Glenn talk about premiumness and about luxury, but it's also about that viewing experience which transcends the actual game that is in front of you, because Stadia has now got to start thinking of itself as a much more engaging, experiential experience, far more than just when a match day is on. A Stadia needs to be 5, 6, maybe even 7 days a week, a continual experience for the fan, because that's what fans want nowadays. And it's through these digital screens that they'll actually get that enhanced experience. And the ability then to, once you've engaged the fan in the premiumness and what those screens can do, how do you actually tailor that experience to be relevant, not just for the club, not just for the stadium operator, not just for the fan even, but also how you can actually start engaging with brands in a true holistic. I've heard the word so many times in these presentations today. People talk about a holistic solution. Well, what is that? What does holistic actually mean? A challenge I made to one major football club in the Premier League, which happens to be the football club I support, is you talk about fan engagement, but what do you actually mean by fan engagement? What is fan engagement? And nobody, I don't think, can offer the solution for that at the moment, because in actual fact, there isn't a magic bullet for that. There isn't a one thing you can put your finger on and say, well, there you go, that's fan engagement. What I can tell you in a conversation is it's a two-way play, right? Too often, football clubs, stadium operators have had the attitude of, we're the club, you're the fan, and we will communicate to you in a one-way radio fashion. That's not a conversation. A conversation is a two-way street. It's a two-way play. And in actual fact, if football genuinely and sport in general and entertainment in general wants to talk about what fan engagement means, it's not just about the club and the stadium and the fan, it's the brands as well. That's a holistic solution. That's where people can genuinely engage. They can genuinely have regular, ongoing digital content which is of the moment, is exciting, and accentuates the game that they're watching in the stadium. That's true fan engagement, and that's what we can do here, but very much from a customized standpoint. As you can see here with Riyadh Air, you know, this whole thing can be tailored to suit their needs. We can also talk about this being the business class seat in the stadium. You know, a exclusive content angle You know, stadiums now are far more than just being a stadium to watch NFL games or football games or rugby games, whatever it happens to be. It has to be embracing of entertainment, particularly the larger format stadiums, 60,000 plus. And that's where these screens can really come into their own. Imagine going to a Taylor Swift concert where pretty much now, I think there was a survey done not so long ago, that 68% of people in the stadium actually watch the big screen. They don't watch the person on the stage. They're actually watching at festivals and at major pop concerts. They're actually watching the big screen. There's good reason why at SoFi and Jerry Jones at the AT&T spend millions on a massive screen in the stadium, because that's how fans watch the entertainment. And it's what you put on that screen that's most important. Now, imagine these screens actually being able to offer behind-the-scenes footage exclusively in that pod of what Taylor Swift's doing before she gets on the screen. People will pay a premium price for that. They want that level of engagement. That's fan engagement. It's also about a way that utilising the screens to be gamified. Imagine a scenario, and this technology exists, I can assure you. We're working with a brand to actually do this. So you've actually got the right connectivity in a stadium and the ability to say, right, it's the NFL, it's 1st and 10. Do we pass or do we run? We should pass. Okay. Is it to which wide receiver? Well, to CeeDee Lamb. Okay, 1 to 9 yard, 10 to 19, or 20 plus, 20 plus. Yeah, you've got that right. You're winning rewards. You're winning prizes. That's true fan engagement, which accentuates what they're watching, but in a way that they can prove that they actually know more than the head coach does. That's why fantasy football has been so big in America over the last 2 decades and continues to be on a trajectory of growth, that fantasy in American sport now is going to be bigger than the sport itself, because people want to play too. It's not enough just to watch anymore. They want to be engaged, because that's what fan engagement means. True two-way communication, and people now feeling like they're part of the action, because that's what fans have wanted for the last 100 years. It's just that up until now, they haven't had the ability to do so. They have now. And these 17-inch smart devices, these business class seats in the stadium, that's the world that is open to this premium offering that C360 is now bringing to the market. Of course, it's not just about inside the pod, it's outside the pod as well. If you think, and I'm sure we've all done it, we've all gone to hospitality boxes, which in actual fact is quite a soulless experience. I hope you'd all agree with me that I'd much rather watch in a seat in the stadium than sat behind a load of perspex. And the other thing that I've noticed in the many, many hospitality boxes I've been in all over the world, that you can't brand activate in a hospitality box. It's a soulless experience. It's a soulless space. There's no energy. It's something which is half decent food. In fact, sometimes it's not even that. And you also feel a little bit detached from the true action and what's going on. You don't hear. You're in the action. You're interactive. You're seeing multiple views throughout the course of whatever that entertainment happens to be. But guess what? It comes with a kicker. You've got an LED screen, which we all know in a stadium now. The biggest driver in a stadium are the LED screens, which all of the large format stadiums have got, which is a tailored and continual brand message going on throughout the course of a 100-minute Premier League football game or a 4-hour NFL game. And guess what this has got now? It's a premium experience, it's interactive, but it's also got that LED screen, which in actual fact is a huge revenue driver for the stadium operators and the clubs that are desperate for incremental revenue streams now. Yeah, PRS, it's real. Clubs need to find a way past that. Clubs need to find a way of making these stadiums work for them. I say to all the clubs I speak to, the offer and the answer lies within. You've got it within your own IP. The biggest single asset you've got as a football club or an NFL team or whoever you happen to be, it's the stadium. It's not the team. It's not the squad they think it is. It's the stadium. You just need to get the stadium working for you on a continual basis. The reason why Topgolf has become a huge competitive socializing multi-billion-dollar brand is because that's what people want now. They want to go somewhere, have an activity, have an entertainment alongside of something decent to eat and drink. That's what this generation wants now. And it's the same with the clubs and the institutions that they support. They want something they can engage with on a continual basis. And that's the kind of holistic solution that C360 offers. As far as being something which offers the differentiator, there's so many different revenues you can drive from C360, as I've said, but it's about the multitude of different activations you can do in that Stadia and how C360 is relevant to all of these different operations that are happening in that stadium across the multitude of ways that you could have that different gamified environment, that different media environment, and that digital environment. The great thing with the smart device now and how we can tailor this position to suit, we can sit down with anybody now and say, well, look, we can build this. We can build this to suit not only your needs and your fans' needs, but your tier 1 and your tier 2 brand partners as well. Which, I've got to be honest with you, when I've worked at Umbro and I've worked at Disney and I'm working with the football clubs now, I've never seen that. I'm working with a large football institution at the moment, and the challenge I make to them is, you've got 8 brand partners. I never see a place where all of those 8 brand partners all activate together. Why is that? Because there actually isn't the platform to do it. You can do it here with C360. Terry could probably talk to this, because this is actually Terry's idea, and I love it. It is a way that you actually are looking at different ways outside of what's going on the pitch as what's going on in and around the ground as well.
Yeah, so obviously we talked about what C360 can do on match days, but many stadiums offer stadium tours to generate revenue, educate fans on non-match days. So if you imagine as part of a stadium tour, that you can actually go around the stadium on a C360 pod, and on the screens in front of you, you get to learn about the club and its history. You can watch famous goals that have been scored in that stadium, or hits or runs or anything that's happened in the stadium that you're in. If it's a music venue, clips from famous gigs. And then we can even, through our technology, if you wanted to, we could even insert sort of switches in the track to take those pods out of the stadium and into, say, like a museum or a backlot tour type situation. So those are the types of options that you have with C360.
And I think that's a really good point that Terry makes there as well, is that when football is starting to broker new grounds and open new markets, there's an educational piece to be done to that, right? I mean, the growth of, there's only one true global sport in the world. I think we'd all agree. It's football, or as Americans would call it, soccer. That's the only true global sport that's out there at the moment. And the growth of all of those clubs, that football clubs that want to grow and evolve, it won't be within a 2-hour journey of where their football ground happens to be. It will be the 4 corners of the world. And if you want to grow in Jakarta, and you want to grow in Melbourne, and you want to grow in China, the fact of the matter is, there's an education piece to be done for people to understand that brand equity of the football club, the history of the football club. And things like this are ways that you can actually digitally educate that market and bring a little bit of Anfield to Beijing or Bombay or wherever it happens to be. It's very, very key that you break down the avenues of communication so people feel part of what that football club is all about, and being able for people to understand the history and the heritage of a football club, I think is actually really key to this future generation buying into what that sport is all about and that club is all about. The other thing that I think is very, very clear to us is we see this as just very much the first iteration as to what the future of stadium viewing is, and there's good reason why. You know, we've presented at some major stadium business summits to start with. Good reason why we've looked at the World Football Summit as a first way of communicating ourselves and what this great technology offers to that multitude of different bases, be it a brand or a football club or a fan base. The reason why we've chosen this as a forum is because this is, I said earlier on today, we're fishing where the fish are, and there's no two ways about it. Saudi Arabia is an incredibly important market as Saudi Arabia looks to embrace the next iteration of what Saudi Arabia is to their young and vibrant generation, how they've got the 2030 vision. You know, we're going to all hear in the next week about the World Cup bid, and I've sat with the guys there today and talking about what that looks like and what success in this wonderful country looks like. And for me, it's not just about building wonderful architecture and building wonderful stadiums and hosting incredible events like the World Cup and like the Olympics. In actual fact, the question has to be, what does a legacy actually look like? You know, I've been involved with FIFA, I've been involved with the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. With the Olympics, they always talk about a legacy and how the Olympics wants to leave a footprint and a legacy as to why the Olympics happened and how it's left for future generations. The challenge I'd make here is, well, what is the legacy for the 2034 World Cup? Because is it just about building wonderful infrastructure and building wonderful stadiums? Or in actual fact, is it the fact that those wonderful stadiums actually deserve something which can actually deliver on what a legacy actually looks like? And I truly believe that with C360, we can tailor a solution to suit the needs of that vibrant young generation, how Saudi Arabia wants to embrace and become a global hub of sport, and how we can play our part very interactively to actually build on that digitization and gamification to truly entertain and enthrall a generation that will embrace these wonderful sports and these wonderful institutions and these wonderful events that are going to happen, but actually put fans in a position where they can enjoy the game like they never have done before. And that's pretty much the presentation, guys. Is there anybody got any questions to what you've just seen there?
If not, we're around the conference obviously tomorrow, and we'd be delighted to welcome any questions if you see us walking around. And thank you so much for your time, and apologies for our running over.
Thank you
very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.